Pretended to be deaf for 3 years just to see what people really thought of me, and it destroyed my entire family. It started with an accident that should have been minor. I was 15 and biking home from school when a car sideswiped me at an intersection. I woke up in the hospital with a concussion, 2 fractured ribs, and partial hearing loss. The doctor said the hearing would come back. It did. 2 weeks later, I could hear again. Soft at first, then clear. But nobody knew that. My mom was crying by my bedside when I realized it. She was talking to my aunt, whispering that maybe this would finally teach me humility, that I'd always been too sensitive, too dramatic. I laid there pretending not to hear. She said maybe it was for the best I got knocked down a peg. That's when the idea started. I told the doctors I still couldn't hear. I kept faking it during tests, watching their mouths, reacting only to vibrations. Lip reading came naturally, faster than I expected. By the time I left the hospital, I was profoundly deaf in both ears. At first, it was peaceful. No one expected conversation. People spoke around me like I wasn't there. My classmates stopped trying. Teachers either pitied me or gave up. My parents smiled in public, praised me for being strong, but behind closed doors, they treated me like a burden. But the real story started 6 months later, when my older brother Ryan came home from college for Thanksgiving. I used to think we were close. He was the golden boy, valedictorian, football captain, pre-law. I was the weird art kid who painted in the garage. I was sitting on the stairs while he unpacked in the living room. My mom sat beside him and said, "It's honestly harder now, with her like this." She didn't even whisper. She's moody, distant, and the school says she's not even trying anymore. Ryan nodded. She was always a bit off. Maybe it's not the hearing. Maybe it's just her. That night, I cried so hard I almost blew the whole act, but I didn't. Instead, I leaned in harder, stopped reacting to doorbells, wrote notes instead of speaking, memorized how my friends' lips moved so I could track every conversation. I told people I didn't want a cochlear implant, that I was embracing deaf culture. They praised me, and they forgot I was there. My best friend, Mel, told our other friend Hannah that hanging out with me felt like babysitting now. Said it was exhausting being my translator in public. Called me an attention leech. My math teacher said in the break room he was glad I'd shut up for once. Another teacher laughed and said maybe I was faking it for sympathy. They had no idea I was just around the corner, waiting for my interpreter. But nothing compared to what I heard from my dad. It was my birthday. I was turning 16. No party, just a cake after dinner. I was sitting on the back porch when I heard him say, "I don't know if she's going to make it, Anne. She's not normal. She doesn't laugh anymore, doesn't try. Sometimes I wish." He didn't finish. Mom replied, "Maybe we send her to that residential program. You know, the one for disabled teens. Might be better for everyone." I knew what they meant. They were tired of me, so I made a plan. I started recording things. First with an old phone hidden in my jacket, then a smartwatch I saved up for and bought used. I had hours of footage. Teachers, friends, family, all saying things they'd never say if they knew I could hear. I kept up the act through senior year. Prom came and went. No date, no invites. I pretended not to care, but I watched from the stairs as Ryan told my mom he was glad I wasn't going. Said it would have ruined the vibe. And Emma, my cousin Emma, who used to braid my hair at sleepovers, told her mom she didn't want to room with the sad deaf girl at the family reunion. I started to believe them. That maybe I was a burden. That maybe I deserved their pity, until something changed. My art teacher, Mr. Carlton, stopped me after class one day, wrote a note that said, "You draw like you're screaming." I smiled politely, ready to walk away. Then he leaned in and said, "But I don't think you're as silent as you pretend to be." My heart stopped. He handed me a book on body language and another on American Sign Language linguistics. If you're hiding something, make sure it's worth it. That night, I went through every recording I had. Every insult, every betrayal, every little piece of their real thoughts, and I cried. Not because they'd said those things, but because I'd let it change me. Graduation came, I walked the stage, silent, still deaf, still pretending, but I had one more act. My parents threw me a party. Small, mostly family. I sat quietly while they told everyone how proud they were, how I'd persevered. My mom even teared up giving a toast. That's when I stood up. I clinked my glass with a fork. Everyone turned. "I can hear you," I said, out loud, clearly. Aunt Joan dropped her plate. My